Hello everyone, this is Livia, founder of Conscious Wealth Builders, and I'm here today to interview Chris Wise, and he is the founder of Wise Profits. And so not only is he an amazing business system strategist and will help you get your business to the next level, he also has a beautiful, heartfelt, life-transforming story. So Chris, it's such an honor to have you here. Thank you so much for taking your time out of your busy day to share your love, share your heart, share your story. You know, you as a businessman, a conscious entrepreneur. So just tell us a little bit about who you are and, you know, your story.
Yeah, totally. Well, I've been an entrepreneur my whole life. I'm going to jump back now about 6 years ago to about 2013 to share this pretty incredible story about how I ended up doing 19 months in federal prison.
Wow. Yeah.
Prior to this surprise event happening, I actually had created a pretty amazing life. I was traveling around the world, had a beautiful girlfriend, I was running 3 different distributed companies. I had created a virtual lifestyle, and it was awesome and amazing. But how I had created this life was through a very driven type of approach.
Yeah.
Like, just I'm out, I'm gonna make it happen, I'm gonna outcomes, trying to control and plans and goals, and just like I had done so much personal development work and so much business development, and then I had gotten more, also on a spiritual path, but like every business book, every personal development book, I read it, I did the exercises in it, and sounds
a lot like me. I can totally relate to that.
Yeah, just like so structured, so systemized, so organized about going after it and accomplishing and making my life happen with a very driven approach. Now, prior to this event, which I will share with you, there was some shifts that had begun in me. I had learned to practice about 5 years ago, so back in like 2011, from my spiritual mentor named Matt Kahn. And his primary teaching is whatever arises, love that.
And I love that. That's beautiful. So like if sadness arises, love that. If anger arises, love that.
Yeah, and it's not that you are liking the experience of whatever is occurring to make those feelings arise, but you're loving the one who's experiencing fear or sadness or loneliness. Right?
Yeah.
And so the way that you put that practice into action is through loving your own heart. And so when I say the word heart, I'm talking about your heart space. And so when I say heart space, think about that 5-year-old little boy or girl inside, the innocence, your own unique innocence, the wonderment, the excitement. Think about that. So when I say loving your heart space, think about that 5-year-old little girl or boy inside.
I'm there.
And so the practice is basically just saying the words, I love you, to your own heart. And so I would do this.
Let's do that. Let's do it.
Yeah.
And I invite all the viewers to go ahead and do that too. So guide us.
I love you.
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 I love you. Oh my God, like I feel tingly.
Yeah.
Woo, that's really powerful. If you did not just do that, then you just missed out. So if you did it, make sure you do it at the end of the interview.
So, I was already, prior to, getting locked in prison, I had learned this practice and was already making a shift, in this direction. And so August 7th, 2013, I'm flying in from Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. We're sitting in the back of the plane. The plane is landing, starting to taxi on the tarmac.
Wow.
All of a sudden, over the announcement comes on, hold on everybody, customs needs to come on board. The next thing I know, there's this big black dude walking down the aisle.
Wow.
He stops right next to my chair. He goes, Christopher Wise? I look up, I'm like, yeah. He goes, you're under arrest. I'm like, what?
I would be terrible.
So he stands me up, handcuffs me, and walks me off the plane. Now the plane is full. Everybody's looking at me. I'm feeling like a terrorist. And I'm like, are you sure you guys have the right Christopher Wise? Because I couldn't imagine what I could have done.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, we have the right Christopher Wise. The next thing I know, they're handing me off to the Secret Service. And now I'm really like, what the hell is going on? finally they tell me what I'm being charged with.
Yeah.
Being charged with conspiracy for bank fraud.
Wow.
That's when it all connects, and I remember. So 3 years before, I had hired a company to help me get a loan.
Wow.
They did things fraud. I didn't know this at the time, but come to find out, they had done things fraudulently. But because I had hired them and followed their instructions, I got indicted.
Yeah.
Now, the deal is, I had spent a lot of time doing due diligence on this company. I spent 6 months checking them out, making sure they were legit. At the time, I was a expert speaking around the world on getting funding for your business. And so I would look for resources to refer business to. Now, I had checked these guys out. I thought they were legit, so I began referring business to them, speaking about them from stage, and I even used them to help me get a loan for myself. So I ended up getting sentenced 19 months. And I feel like that, you know, the government saw me as the front man, and they wanted to make an example out of me.
How was that experience, though? I mean, it's not every day someone experiences that. Like, how was that for you?
The experience of prison?
Well, just
Or
when you were told, like, this
Oh.
is what was happening. What was coming up for you?
I just felt so blown away because I was just like, you have got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
Like, because I just felt like, because I was so committed to my students and the people that I was serving that they actually got like legitimate services.
Yes.
And then to being charged with like I did something wrong, I was just like, this is insanity.
Yeah.
So it was, there's a lot I could talk about, how I feel like how the whole justice system is, you know,
Sure.
the issues with that. I don't
Yeah.
think we necessarily need to go there in this conversation, but like, there's definitely a lot of improvement that can be done there. And actually, hopefully, maybe we'll talk a little bit for a
Yeah,
moment.
do, please. We've got plenty of time, so.
My hope is that with this movement that you're creating in Conscious Wealth Builders, that there will be focus and attention brought to the justice system.
There absolutely will. Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah, because I mean,
And maybe you'll be bringing that.
Maybe, yeah,
Okay.
maybe, yeah. So, and I really think there's two elements of this, right? So there's the justice system itself, in which people are processed and how they get judged and convicted, right? So first off, prosecutors and the government in general, they aren't really interested in the truth. They aren't really interested in true justice. They're interested in high conviction rates. You know, in getting the most number of convictions for investigative dollars spent. So there isn't, and I got exposed to this when I was in the system, they push people to cut a plea deal so that they have a judgment. And so it doesn't even, and so they will actually do very manipulative things. Like when I was in prison, I was meeting people where they were holding their wives, mothers, girlfriends unjustly to force these guys into plea deals.
Yeah, you know what? And I've shared this with you. You know, my own father, he was in prison for 7 years. So he shared with me many things that happen, and it's unfortunate. Very good, well-meaning people get locked up for the most ridiculous things. You know, when there's even more people who just are like doing awful things or like getting away I really just, I acknowledge your bravery and your courage, you know, and your vulnerability sharing this story.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, and it's very vulnerable for me. You know, I've been hesitant to really share it because I've been afraid, like, if people knew that I had this criminal background, like, one, just the shame that I've carried about it.
Yeah.
Even though I feel like I was still unjustly, like, put through this, there's still shame.
Of course, yeah. And I
about
just
it.
want to tell you, the vulnerability is so inspiring. You know, we were just at the Sang reunion and you were sharing this on stage, and I was actually blown away. I was like, wow, he just went there. But you own it, and you inspired so many people.
Yeah.
Like, you had people crying in tears, so moved. And that's what the Conscious Wealth Builders is really about. It's about vulnerability, because we're all human beings. We all have things that happen to us in life. We all do. And so you can't walk around pretending in life. So I just acknowledge you for
Thank you.
being authentic and vulnerable. And that's what makes you so special.
Thank you, thank you. And actually, you know, some of the people that came up to me after the event, there was actually several people that had criminal backgrounds that were like, thank you for sharing that, because I've been carrying all this shame. So if you're watching this and you've had some type of criminal background, I get it. It's very unfair as a society how people are treated when they have a criminal background. Like, it can be difficult to get housing, it can be difficult to get a job,
Yeah.
and that is fucked up. It's messed up how society treats people because it just props shame on. So the people that have done something, and the other whole crazy thing is that a lot of times people who get judged or have some level of conviction, it's not even just how they got it. So that whole system needs to have some work done. But even once that work's done, even if somebody was justly convicted and had a felony or whatever it was, as a society, we got to stop putting shame on people who have done something, because shame only perpetuates more shame.
Absolutely.
And so we actually need to have better training systems and educate people as society or societal structures so that we can actually be more loving and supportive of people, because people only act out from a place of pain.
Yeah.
People only do things that hurt other people or break laws because they are hurting inside, and there's might be the only option that they see. But as people begin to truly love their own hearts and learn, so this is the learning that as individuals, see, this love revolution starts with you. It starts with you loving your own heart. And so as we as individuals begin to give ourselves the love that we've always sought for and looked for our whole lives, and begin to, instead of looking for it externally, we begin to give it to ourselves, we begin to shift this whole paradigm for everybody. And then as more and more people are getting this, then as society, as groups, we group together in this conscious group of people who are learning to give ourselves and are loving our own selves very deeply. And then based on the types of environments that we're in or the groups that we're in, such as support groups for people that are coming out of prison and needing support, we then begin to teach other people, and then as a society we can begin to respond with love and teach other people how to love as specific groups, so that the real healing that's needed, which is really people loving their own hearts. So instead of when people coming out them feeling shame about what was done, they can begin to feel loved. And perhaps even in prison, this is another whole thing with the prison system, instead of isolating people, I mean, there's the entire justice system itself. The implementation of justice, basically people going through prison, it's ridiculous. It's incredibly unjust. And I believe 99% of the people that come out of prison are actually worse off than they were when they went in.
No, I understand. And
so if actually prisons, the implementation of the prison system embraced educating people on how to love, accept, and forgive themselves. So it's as simple as saying the words, I love you, I forgive you, I accept you. And teaching people that as they're going through the prison system, they're going to get out completely reformed.
Yes.
I had this idea today, like instead of giving somebody a sentence of time for how long that they would go through prison, and be like, all right, it'd be cool because you do some heart math stuff and like measuring people's vibration. I had this idea today. I was like, it would be cool if it was like, all right, you need to raise your vibration 50 points, and however long that took, that would be their sentence, and they just had to go away and sit with people that would train them on
That's
loving.
brilliant. Okay, so hold on, after this, we're gonna put a plan together, and seriously, that could be a really cool project to take on. Wow, okay, so that reminds me, I think I shared this with you. So Dr. Wayne Dyer, he shares in one of his talks that there's a village, I'm not sure exactly where this is, but when there was very low crime, but when there was a crime that was committed, they would put that person in the middle of a circle, and they would each go around and acknowledge them for their contribution, and just love, just all love, 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 love. Because when we focus on love, love heals and expands, right? When you shame someone and condemn them, you're just focusing on that, and that expands even more. I just got goosebumps. I'm like, wow. Oh my God, this is such a powerful conversation, Chris.
Yeah, so as we shift all these different models and systems and structures, we will begin to see a revolutionized society. And helping people shift and move through and help them involve their conscious in a very conscious way. As opposed to now the model is, it actually makes people, I think, worse off than they were, and continues to perpetuate that. And so,
Amazing. Well, so thank you again for sharing that amazing story. So, will you share a little bit about, okay, so you're a businessman, and you've got a brilliant mind. Go ahead.
I was like on the plane. I don't know. Do we want to finish that story? Because we're like
absolutely.
on the plane, and then we went off on this tangent.
Okay, let's go back to the plane, and then we'll go back to the business. This is what happens when you get a little excited. The energy is high. It's All love good vibrations.
So I think I left off getting handed off to the Secret Service. I find out
Okay.
what I'm charged with.
Yeah.
I can't get bail because when I was traveling internationally and I didn't have any ties to Los Angeles, so they make that very difficult for me. So I find myself stuck in prison. Now, as I'm sharing this story, there's actually really three takeaways that I think that we all can get, that you guys can get out of this. One is just the idea of vulnerability and how powerful vulnerability can actually be.
Totally.
The second one is letting go. Letting go of control, letting go of outcomes, letting go of trying to control outcomes. There's great power in that. And the third thing is, which you guys have already experienced, which is loving your own heart or your inner child. So, so I'm in prison and I'm stuck and I can't get out. And it is incredibly difficult to go from having an amazing life to getting plucked off a plane, having no idea why, to this, then beginning to see my whole world crash around me. I can't run my business, my relationships. Oh, here's something very interesting. When we look at, conscious and how our lives evolve. 2 years prior to all this happening, I'm working with Matt Kahn, and he goes, "What's your greatest fear?" And I go, "Getting locked away into prison."
Wow.
Losing all of my relationships,
Yeah.
Losing my business, and losing my
So
reputation.
do you think that you created that, or do you think maybe it was just information given to you backward in time?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I don't feel like I consciously created that because I would have never chosen that
Sure.
in this lifetime. However, I believe that prior to incarnation, I designed this life.
Yeah.
And so in that respect, I created this to go through this because I believe that everything happens for a reason. Everything that happens is a gift, even though it may not feel like a gift as you go through it or even
Yeah.
after you got it. Eventually, at some point, if you're looking for gifts, you'll be able to see it as a gift.
Sure.
And so I feel like, it was something that obviously I didn't choose or manifest, but it was something that was part of my destiny to experience.
Yeah.
The other interesting thing is then a year prior to all this happening, I said to a friend, it's like, man, I was reading some book and I was like, I want to go away for 6 months to a year and just meditate.
So you know what's interesting about that? I just want to share real quick. I was living in a yoga ashram, and I said to myself, I was doing a yoga teacher training, and I said, man, I just really want a time out. I just want a time, because I was just go every day. And literally I did some Ashtanga yoga, rolled back on my neck, and literally the universe created a timeout. I could not get out of bed. So
Yeah.
I understand that just the power of words and what you're creating. It's so important to be clear, crystal clear on exactly what it is that you want and you're creating.
And I mean, I don't think that me having more clarity about going away would have changed anything.
Yeah.
So I feel like, again, this was something that I was meant to go through.
Sure.
But remember, the intuition of wanting to go away perhaps was a remembering of what was going to occur prior to it actually occurring. But I don't feel like this, me saying those things or I feel like it's a spiritual superstition to express a fear and then to actually necessarily see that come.
Sure. Well, and it was a gift, to be honest.
Yeah.
So you can look at it like, oh crap, what did I create? Or wow, okay, I created this. This is an opportunity.
Yeah.
And that's what you took it as an opportunity of spiritual transformation.
I did, I didn't realize that the government was going to fund my awakening.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
So here I am,
Yeah.
in prison, and I felt like the only way that I could stay sane was to just completely let go and to completely surrender. And that was so hard because my entire life I had been so about control. And what I realized is that all of that, at least the majority of that personal development stuff, really teaches people how to control. How to control your state, how to control where you get to where you want to go, how to control everything. Like if you want to create a life, let me help you master control so that you can get there. And what I realized is that control is an illusion because I had no control when I was in prison and I couldn't have controlled going into there. And so what I discovered was the power of surrender. And I'll kind of just fast forward to, this lesson to where I'm at now. So prior to going into prison, being driven with life, so masculine, so purposeful, and then in going through prison and completely surrendering and letting go, to coming out of prison, still in a very surrendered space and kind of just seeing why aren't things happening, and realizing that it's both states of what I feel is like a truly integrated being, is one who's fully integrated both the masculine and the feminine energies.
Absolutely, I so agree with that. And in fact, Raj Sisodia, he has a book called Shakti Leadership, him and his partner, and that's exactly what he speaks about, the feminine and masculine energy.
And it's not about consciously switching between one state or the other, because that's just another form of control. Because like, oh, let me control whether I'm coming from my masculine, or let me control whether I'm coming from my feminine, right? Complete surrender, this is one of the things I got in prison, was completely letting go. It's completely letting go of worrying about what I'm thinking about. It's completely letting go of worrying about what I'm feeling. Because all that personal development stuff, let me state change so I can feel more powerful, so I can go out and conquer the world. Like, oh, if I'm feeling sad, then I need to shift my emotions so I can go out. Like, it's crazy. It just creates a more powerful ego.
Let's just soak that in for a moment. Hold on. Because I can't agree with you more. Like, I find that we're just on top of a bunch of garbage. It's like we're not even creating. We're just like trying to it's fixing and changing is really what it is. Instead of just really accepting, like, okay, I'm feeling sadness right now, and allowing yourself to be with that sadness. You don't have to fix and change it. It's okay. It's okay to be sad.
Yeah.
And to vulnerably share it.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm a little sad today, but you know what? I'm showing up powerfully anyways because of my word and what I'm committed to.
And asking the question, there's a couple things, whatever you're experiencing. One, deeply loving your own heart. And through that, you begin to feel safe in your body, to begin to fully feel and feel whatever's coming up, right? But loving your heart gives you the safety in your body to fully feel whatever's coming up.
Yeah.
Then you can ask yourself the question, what is the gift? And that can help shift your perspective. But this whole idea of trying to shift state change out of feeling certain emotions, because it's crazy, because what I realized in prison is that I had a lifetime of unfelt emotions. I had a lifetime of unfelt sadness. I had a lifetime of unfelt fear. I had a lifetime of avoidance of boredom. And that happened because of two reasons. One, because of this whole idea of like, well, if I'm not feeling good, let me avoid emotions, let me escape negative emotions, and shift into a more positive feeling so I can keep driving forward and moving ahead with my goals and dreams.
I actually got to share with you real quick because, I have a lot of friends who do, Tony Robbins, shift changers,
Right.
whatever. And so it's interesting, like if I'm, expressing how I'm feeling, and they're just like, well, just change your state, or just be positive, or focus on your gratitude, instead of like really empathizing and saying, hey Liv, I really get that you're just having a crummy day.
Right.
What can I do to support you?
Yep.
Like, because when they try to say, oh, just be positive, it's just like, oh, you don't want to hear it. It's just resistance.
Gross.
And it's like you don't want to give in to people's victimhood, but at the same time, you want to meet people where they're at.
Yep.
I really get you're having a crummy day.
Yes.
How can I pull you out of that
Yes.
and help you? Let's do some hard stuff.
And a lot of times just being heard is transformation itself, because we all just want to be heard.
Yeah.
We just want to fucking be heard.
I love it.
And
That's
so our emotions, our emotions are coming up for a reason. They're coming up to be acknowledged.
Yeah.
And acknowledgement is a form of love.
I got that. Yeah, 100%.
And so whenever we try to shift out and avoid feeling negative emotions, it's craziness.
It is craziness.
It's continuing a cycle of
Yeah.
insanity, because the quickest way to transform is to share your feelings and to have it be heard, whether it's yourself alone, to your own self. If you're by yourself, I'm feeling sad. And loving your heart to feel safe and feeling sad. And there's a level of transformation that occurs in that, because then the saddest has the opportunity to transform and return back to love.
That's beautiful.
Because let me actually share this. I had this insight when I was in prison. I was meditating 2 to 4 hours a day and loving my own heart.
It's beautiful.
And I had this vision of what the reality of love actually is.
Yeah.
And I saw the reality of love as a fabric that's woven together, that's made up of all these different colors. If you imagine a rainbow, the fabric of a rainbow with all these different colors. And every color and form of color represents a different emotion. Fear, sadness, loneliness, shame, boredom, as well as joy, happiness, gratitude. All of those are just fabric of love. That all of those emotions are just a different expression of the infinite spectrum of love. And all of those emotions that are coming up its purpose is for us to fully feel it, so that we can integrate it back into ourselves, so we're no longer resisting the darkness or resisting negative emotions, so that they can be fully embraced as the wholeness of completeness of love that I am and that you are.
Amazing. Amazing. That's there's so much yumminess and juiciness and all of that. Thank you so much for sharing. Is there anything else about the prison experience, the journey, that you'd like to share about?
Yeah. So, I'm going through prison, I'm feeling all this unfelt emotion that's coming up. I'm deeply loving my heart. It's enabling me to fully feel all this lifetime of unfelt emotion. Oh, here's the other thing, right? That was easily making me avoid feeling all this negative emotion, because when you're out to conquer and pursue and do that, you can create an amazing life.
Yeah.
And then it's so easy to distract yourself, right? Like if you're feeling bored, well, you never feel bored because you can distract yourself, right? Because there's so many amazing things to do. But when I was in prison, I didn't feel like state changing. I didn't have all these amazing things to do. So all I was left with was this ocean of emotion that I had never felt. And I initially didn't.
Ocean of emotion. I love that.
And I initially didn't feel safe enough to fully feel it all.
Yeah.
But through loving my heart, just one I love you at a time. I love you, I love you, I love you. I began to feel safe enough in my body to begin to fully feel this. And then
I'm feeling more safe in my body, I gotta tell you. So as you're just speaking, because this is such a powerful conversation, holy cow, I'm just like, Livia, just be you, just be real, And I'm just like, I'm feeling more real just even being in this conversation. Yeah.
I love it.
So awesome.
Yeah. I just began to be able to feel sadness. And I just remember, and it was, I spent, a while in the ocean of sadness. And, actually I did, but I felt safe enough that I could just be in sadness. And I remember actually getting lost in this ocean, and I kind of felt lost, but then I was like, wait, I am the light. And then I kind of woke up and I just sat in the sadness, loving my own heart. And I actually had this transcendent experience where I actually rose above out of the ocean of sadness, and I saw it was just, I fucking went into bliss. It was incredible.
It sounds incredible. I want to go there.
Yeah, that was dive right into sadness.
Yeah.
And you can dive right into sadness, of course, when it's coming up.
Sure.
And you can feel safe to do that through loving your heart.
Yeah, so you know what, this is such a powerful story, and I know right now you're kind of in the creation station, so to speak, of possibly writing a book about your journey.
Yeah.
You've been going to different meeting groups and sharing your story with men. And so I really see some amazing. So what's kind of next for you with this whole?
Yeah. So
experience?
there's a book on the way, and there's some great stories. I guess we might not have time to share them.
No, we've got 15 more minutes. We're gonna go 45.
Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna go
Okay.
45 with you because I want you to also share about what you do.
Okay.
As well.
I'll just plant some seeds for those. When the book's coming out, and if you hear me speak on stage. So there's a story about when someone was trying to beat me up. And when I told them I love them, what happened there? I'm not going to tell you the story, but I'm going to plant the seed to give you what could come here. Unless you want me to share that now, I don't know.
I kind of do. It's
You do?
so powerful.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So prison is a hyper masculine environment, and the threat of violence is always present. And so in prison, all this sadness and fear and all this stuff is there, but people don't show it because in prison, it's not okay to be vulnerable. Mm-hmm. It's not okay to show vulnerability because if you're vulnerable, then people will view that as weakness, and if you appear as weak, then people can take advantage of you.
It's literally it's a threat to your life. So, yeah, potentially.
Yeah. So people put up these walls of toughness, and they take on prison names, and they group together by their race so that they can feel safe.
Yeah.
And they make up all these crazy rules called prison politics on how to relate with other people in prison. Like, if I'm white and you're black, then we can't do business together. Or if, I'm white and you're Mexican, then we can't, eat together. Just crazy stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm a human being, you're a human being, we're both going through a difficult time. I'm gonna treat you with kindness and respect. And not ignoring all these prison rules. And because I did that, it was disruptive to the prison system.
Sure.
And people actually there was a few people in prison that actually hated me because I wasn't conforming to what they thought the way a prisoner should be and how they should go through prison.
Yeah.
And so, now, prior to going to prison, I had actually had quite a bit of Krav Maga and Taekwondo training. But I made the decision that I went through prison, I wasn't going to respond to violence with violence. So then one day, I'm in my cell, and I'm like, well, what would I do if someone tried to fight me? And because I was loving my heart so much, I was like, I wonder what would happen if I told somebody I loved them that was trying to fight me. And so, well, I got to find out what happened. So one day I'm playing cards in the lunchroom with this old man. And he's kind of a little emotionally unstable. And I must have beat him at a hand of cards, because all of a sudden he stands up and he goes, come on, let's fight right now. I stand up, I look him in the eyes, and I go, I love you. I love you. Just like that, like full masculine presence, just like, and all of a sudden his face, he turns and walks away. It was the most incredible thing I'd ever seen.
That's amazing. So powerful. I have a very similar experience, but this is about you. So that's amazing. I totally get it. That's what's going to change the world, is acknowledging each other and saying, I love you, regardless of whatever is coming up for them. Vomit could be coming out of their mouth, because the majority of us, we're not even conscious of what we're saying most of the time. It's mostly vomit. I'm guilty as charged sometimes. And what I'm present to is just to recreate people and send them love. Be like, hey, yeah, I get you're angry, you're upset, and I love you.
Yeah, and a lot of times, depending on, obviously all this conversation is contextual, but the core is when you acknowledge somebody's beauty, you give them a compliment, you smile, you say, I love you, it moves somebody out of whatever negative state they're in, that state of fear or anger or whatever it is. And it's like, whoa, people can't respond with violence in a space of beauty, or where their beauty is being acknowledged, right? So if you're interacting with somebody who's upset, one of the most amazing things to do them is just give them a compliment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. Wonderful. So let's dive into what you do.
Yes.
Right now, currently, because there's a lot of entrepreneurs, there's people who are starting their businesses, there's people who are already very successful that are watching this.
Yes.
And so just tell us about what it is that you currently do.
Yep. So I am an expert at architecting businesses, and I do that as a scaling consultant. So I will work with companies, and typically my sweet spot, so I do work with startups and solo entrepreneurs. Really my sweet spot is once the companies have reached $1 million and going up to 10 million. Now I also work with companies that are larger, and I help companies that are, that want to grow to 20, 50 plus million. And my niche is working with companies that are virtual or distributed, meaning that they have employees that are around the country or around the world, and they want to grow an organization that way.
That's amazing. And so you've got 6 processes, right, that you kind of take people through?
Yes.
Yeah, so let's go through those.
Yes, so there is an overarching thing that I take people through, right? So the very first thing when I'm working with somebody is we define what our metrics are for success. Because I think one of the most powerful ways as a consultant, and this is actually a thought methodology that anybody can apply. Whenever you're hiring somebody to do a service for you, for your business, what's the ROI? What's the bottom line? I'm going to pay you X amount of dollars. What's going to be the return that I get from that? And it's so crazy. I mean, I learned this because of how much money I actually lost as a business owner, paying people to do stuff where I actually wasn't tracking the metrics or the return that I was actually getting. Because most people that are providing a service, they're only worried about providing the service. They actually don't really care if you make money from their service, which is a crazy thought to begin with, which actually, if you're a service provider and you're listening to this could blow your business up. If you shift your model to where you begin to actually care about what your client's ROI is from the service that they're purchasing from you, you will explode.
That's amazing. And because it's value creation, money is energy, and I love talking about money because in the Conscious Wealth Builders community, it's a spiritual thing. Money is energy, right? And so you're creating more spiritual energy for another, really, essentially.
Yep.
So that's awesome. I love that.
And you want to measure it. Because in a financial world, going by your intuition about how much money you have in the bank is not to do it. Because you have a set amount of money that's in the bank, and you have a set amount of money that you want to create from whatever you're investing in. So it's not, so there is real things, right? There's appropriate times to use intuition, right? You could use your intuition about, oh, is that the right person to work with? But you don't want to use your intuition to measure the bottom line dollars and cents. No, you use the bottom line dollars and cents to see what the bottom line dollars and cents are.
Yeah, you got to be practical, and that's the thing. So that's the balance of the intuition. I love that, the spiritual nature, but then the practicality. You got to be grounded, and you bring the groundedness to a conscious business, so to speak, and be able to measure it, because it's important to produce results. We want conscious, effective results.
Yeah, and I got to say this because it's such a nomenclature in the spiritual community for so many spiritual entrepreneurs and business owners to be fucking broke. And you just got to get over that shit, because the only way that you're going to start making money, and if this is you and you've been struggling making money in your business, is to realize that it's more than just your amazing spiritual gifts or whatever you're looking to offer to the world. Because if you're not making a profit, you're not going to be having a business. You have to make a profit. And the way that you make a profit is through strategy, it's through processes, it's through tracking, it's through your ROI.
Absolutely.
And I get it. If that's not your strength, then you need to have somebody on your team.
It.
You need to have somebody that's your coach that's going to help you with that.
And that's such a good point. I know, living in the yoga ashram, there's so many amazing, beautiful, well-intentioned healers. And of course, they've got to be able to provide for their families, and they're not able to do that because, they're not putting in the systems and the structures of what it takes. And I don't necessarily know if they know what's available to them. So, but anyways, okay, so on to the next process.
Yeah, so defining your metrics for success. So that's the first thing. You're going to hire me. What are you looking to create? So we know if that our relationship is going to be profitable. So when I'm working with people, I look to create a minimum of a 10x return, and I see as much as a 100x return. I'll give you a specific example of a client that I was working with. We saw a double of their ROI, 100% return, a doubling of their ROIs, right? So initially they were making a 15% front-end ROI on their Facebook advertising. And through working with me, I shifted how we were looking at the metrics, which shifted the conversations that we were having about the metrics, which shifted how the service provider was actually delivering that service. And over a period of 4 months, with 6 hours of my time, they doubled their ROI, which in the end, they would make an extra $100,000 that year.
Incredible. Yeah. And so that totally pays for your services.
Oh my God.
Plus.
It was like a...
So it's a no-brainer. If you want to, scale your business, then hire this guy, because you're going to get that money back anyways, plus more. So they're going to be saving money coming with you.
Yeah. They're going to be making money.
Yeah.
They're making money. So the second thing we do is we define our metrics for success. We put out scaling fires. That's if there's any immediate stuff that needs to be taken care of. Next, we define as the CEO, what is your ideal role? Because there's so many CEOs that are wearing so many different hats, and my goal is I want you to be in your position of power.
Yeah.
So that you're only doing what you want to be doing, and that you are optimized for whatever you're out to do with your business.
So important, because for me, I'm a visionary, right? And I get distracted with the details. In fact, Brooks, he's behind the camera right now. I tell him all the time, I'm like, I can't manage the details. And he's like, don't worry about it, I got it. And it just allows me to be able to show up as the visionary that I am. I'm a connector, I'm a visionary, and that's what I'm good at. So that's all I want to focus on. So that's a great point.
So once we kind of clarify your role, as I know is how I'm going to guide you, or actually as if I'm inside of your business helping you, how we're going to guide the business to circle around you and create their ideal role.
Yeah.
The next thing that we do is what I call is a process called mission to metrics. And I haven't seen anybody do this. As a unique process that I created. And it's basically taking your mission statement, because every company needs to have a mission statement, and we take that mission statement and we tie it to one metric, one specific metric.
Give us an example.
So here's the power in that. So I was working with a very large women's network, and they were defining in essence of their mission statement was to build community to empower women, in essence. And so I said, well, how are we defining community? So we define community as their internal team, and then all the members that they had that were going through their program. And so I said, well, then what's the best metric to use for this? And we thought, well, it would be the number of people that have active memberships and that are part of their team, their organization. And we said, okay, that's how we're defining community, right? So we brought very clear definition to the terms that were used in the mission statement. That very clear definition enabled us to bring a very specific metric to the measurement of that that mission statement. Now, here's why that's so important. Because now everybody inside of the company had a number to measure how well they were doing at fulfilling their mission.
Wow.
That's so powerful when you can tie a tangible number to something that's typically thought as soft.
Yeah, that's beautiful. You know what I'm actually present to is, so you know how a lot of times when we're given a testimonial, it's all about how much money someone made, right? What's cool about this, because conscious entrepreneurship is all about making a difference. So you're creating a way to be able to measure the difference that you're actually making.
Yes.
So because typically we look at the numbers for the results, but typically we look at the money in an organization. But quite frankly, there's a lot of companies out there that are making a lot of money, but what difference are they making?
Yep.
We can't measure that. So if you can measure, okay, how much money you're making and the difference you're
Yes.
making, dude, that is so cool.
That's one of the things I love about Raj's model and the conscious capitalism model,
Yeah.
and so I'm so excited about bringing metrics to his model so that companies can begin to actually measure the difference they're making in the community, that begin to measure the difference they're making for their employees and such, because it's very powerful when you bring metrics to powerful concepts.
Huge, amazing. Oh my gosh, revolutionary.
Yeah.
You're a revolutionary mind. I'm clear you're going to be changing the world. So, do we have any other processes?
We do.
Okay.
We do. So once we put mission metrics to the mission statement, which is very powerful, the next thing that we do is we define a company metric framework.
Okay.
And so we look at all the different key parts of your company, from the front, marketing, to sales, to customer fulfillment, to getting referral and repeat business, right? So all of those different components, we look at how your business is actually delivering those services, and we put key metrics behind each of those departments. And so we have this complete picture of how all that ties in together.
Wow, you're amazing. And then is there one more?
There's one more.
Okay.
And so that framework of looking at metrics actually gives us the ability to see and drill down into which areas of the company should we be focusing on next.
It's so important. My gosh. So
Yeah.
important. Because like I said, from a visionary CEO standpoint, even me, it's like managing all of these different areas of a business is so tedious. There's a lot to manage and it can cause a lot of stress. So seriously, I'm just like clear, like everybody needs a Chris in their organization. Go to Chris.
Yep. Yeah, so who I work best with are companies that are virtual or remote, because there's a lot of power. And actually, I think as companies, there will be more and more companies over time that are using virtual or distributed models to grow their organization. And I would imagine most solo entrepreneurs, you start off working from home. And it's a very powerful way to grow your business. And especially as new technologies, I know you're having people in this group that are talking about new technologies that are coming out in the future. I'll give you this seed. As virtual reality becomes more present, like where you have the VR goggles, because typically when you're a virtual company, your organization is viewed through your computer screen and everything else is your house or wherever you are. But when we can bring the environment of like we're actually in an office space and we can like see other people that are around us, that actually shifts how you think and how you do business. And so as virtual reality becomes more present, that type of way of working is going to greatly impact and make things more effective for virtual companies. So those are some of the types of things and services of how I'm helping virtual companies.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. Anything else?
I think that's
Was it
think
the
that's
list?
it. Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
good.
That's everything on my list. Yeah.
Wonderful. So you've got a free gift that you're going to be giving to
Yes.
people. Do we know what that is, or are we just going to create that and manifest it?
Yes. So that is the 8 building blocks of scaling
Okay.
for companies.
Okay. Wonderful.
And so the value of that is this will help you see and look at your company through a framework so that you know how to actually go about growing your business. And it will be very powerful for entrepreneurs and no matter what size of your company, right? So this is the framework that I use when I'm working with companies, taking them from 1 to 10 and plus, so you can very clearly see all the different building blocks. to how
That's
to grow your business.
amazing. Very good. So we're going to post the link below, so make sure you click that and get your free gift. Thank you so much. Again, I just cannot acknowledge you enough. Your vulnerability is so inspiring. And for me as a woman, like I'm just like so moved by who you are as a man. And I just wish, no, not wish, you're going to go and empower many men to do the same. And I just so acknowledge you for that.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you so much for tuning in to the online summit. We've got many other experts and speakers coming your way. So thanks for tuning in. And thank you, Chris.
Thank you.